All right, what I'm going to do here today is I'm going to show you and work with you on how to get your video footage set and saved so it's all how it should be, and so you don't have any issues with transporting files or losing your assets. Now, the one thing I generally recommend to everybody to start off with is if you're working in your Finder window, it's going into Documents, and then I would just make a folder with your last name and first name. And the one thing when you're making folders or you are naming files on Macs and things like that, and really this is PCs also, you can use a thing like a dash, like you see there with my name, or you can use an underscore, which is like the underline line, which is the shift of that same dash. But you don't generally want to use periods or question marks or weird characters because sometimes that messes up the files. It's probably not the best thing either to use a lot of spaces in what you're dealing with. So when you're going to use a space or something like that, just go ahead and use a dash, and it keeps things pretty simple. So if you see here, I've done my last name and my first name, right? So I know it's my folder and I got all my stuff in it. And then inside there, what you want to start doing is building folders of all the different things that you have, right? So if I was going to make a basketball video right next, I'd call it basketball video, and I would get that folder set. And I see here, I probably just need to rename this real quick because I talked about having a dash in there and I did not get that there, so let's just go ahead and do that. And so now I've got that there. Now if you see here with this coffee house video, right, I haven't gotten my basketball footage set yet, but I did with my coffee house video. And if you see, I got a B-roll, I got interviews and my stand-ups. And so on this basketball video, I might come in here and I'm going to make a B-roll folder. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to make a new folder called interviews, right? I could also call that A-roll if I wanted to. And then if I'm doing stand-ups or something like that, I'm going to make a stand-ups folder. And then sometimes, right, like maybe you're making a hype video, you're doing something else, you need some music, maybe I'll make a folder for music. And then all the different files of that type, I'm going to stick in those folders just to keep things super organized. So if you see here with this coffee house video, I've got some B-roll from a coffee house, right? And that's all set here. We've got a bunch of different B-roll. I've got interviews with different people, right? And those interviews are all, now they're in one file. You're probably going to have interviews, and it's going to be multiple files buried all in here. But all those will be there. And then here for stand-ups, right? A stand-up is if the reporter wants to have a stand-up talking about what they're doing, they're going to be on camera, and that's there. Now we see some Adobe folders here, and we have the project file there. Those are things that Adobe created once I made a project folder or a project for it, right? And so if I'm going to do this basketball video and I go ahead and I open Adobe Premiere here, it's going to ask me to, hey, let's name this file for the first time. And I just want to show you real quick how we name it. So once we make that folder, your file can be saved in there as well. Because the key thing with all the stuff that I'm going to show you is that these Adobe files are super small, right? And they're just linking up to all the video stuff. You're not actually embedding the videos in there, just like in an InDesign file. You're not actually embedding the photos in. You're linking up to them. So if you end up moving those files around or you lose them and you can't find them, it's actually going to ruin your video. So let's go to New Project here. And I see most everything always comes up with Untitled. And so I want to go to Browse here. And I want to come to Documents. I want to go into Manflaren, basketball video, right? And so this is where I want to save it. And I'm just going to call this, instead of Untitled, I'm just going to name it basketball video. And I'm going to hit OK, right? And then it comes in. And now if I come back here to look in the Finder, we see it's made a basketball video and it's made these new Adobe folders for me where it's going to auto save things and have them all set there for me. Super nice, super great, and my project file is going to be here. Now the nice thing about this is let's say I get to a point where this coffee house video is working on it at school and I really want to take it home because I'm creeping up on deadline, right? And I'm not exactly done yet. Well, what I need to do to be able to work on that at home is I can't just take my Adobe Premiere file. I've got to take everything else that I have there with it, right? And so what I want to do is I'm in Google Drive here, And let's say I want to come into videos here. And what I'll do is I'll take this coffee house video over here, and I'm just going to drag it into my Google Drive folder. And so I go ahead and drag it here, and you see it's uploading 15 items down here, right? And if I come into this folder then, right, once it all gets uploaded, it's still uploading a little bit, there's still a minute left, but it's going to move everything up into the cloud for me, right? I need to wait until it all loads. I do not have much video footage here. It's all only about 5 minutes in total, and they aren't real heavy files, and it's taking a couple minutes, as you see, to get all of that footage there. So if you're moving 15, 20, 30 minutes of footage, it might take 10 or 15 minutes to move all those files up into the cloud. So you want to make sure that there's a check mark here at the bottom, right, green check mark right there, and it's in a folder, and you want to make sure all your files are in here before you leave. And we see I've got my Premiere Project file, I've got some other stuff in here, super great. And so it looks like I got everything I need. I click in here and I see my B-roll is in there that I had, and that's super great. Now when I come home, I'm going to come here, I am going to go down to download, right? And I'm taking this Coffee House video folder. I'm just going to download the whole thing. And then what it's going to do at my house is it's going to download from Google Drive, and it's going to take a minute to zip the file. As we see down here, it's preparing to download. It is zipping one file. So it's going to take all those files, right, that folder that's there, and it's going to compress it. We see down here it's downloading it now. It was 98 megs, so it's going to be way too big to email to myself. And then now when I come to find it in the Finder, okay, what we end up seeing with it is that it's this packaged little folder, and I have to open it. And once I open it, well, there's all my stuff, right? And so I've got all of my coffee house stuff right there, and it's in a folder after I opened it. So the key, we've had some issues before where people have wanted to work on their files somewhere else, right? Or they end up getting a weird red box where they used to have video, and it's because they renamed one of their video files, or they started moving stuff around. And so the best thing you can do before you start anything is to make these folders, to save all the video in those folders, and then don't rename things, don't move stuff around, get it all set, and then save your Premiere file in there, make that new Premiere file, and then start editing and building from there. And then if you're going to move things back and forth, right, from one computer to another computer, you've got to take this whole folder of footage, and you've got to work on that as you go. If you have questions on this, I'll be more than glad to answer it to you. I hope that video was a little bit helpful, but especially for those who find yourselves, needing to interview in multiple spaces, wanting to keep your stuff organized so that you don't end up losing things in your Premiere Project file. You really need to organize your video files accordingly. Thanks.